Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with Matt, Adam, Brian, Doug, and Freddie, where they discuss everything that matters in today's fire service. Now let's get to the show.
All right.
Hot dog.
Hot dog. Welcome back to the Cool Fireman Podcast, folks. Today we're talking about how to become a fireman. Hey, why not? It's been one of our number one episodes, so we're going to kind of circle back to it. It's been a while. I think in the 60s, somewhere around there, that episode. We'll talk a lot about proby culture, talk about how to get into the fire service. So might be a little different from the West Coast to the East Coast to the North to the South. I don't know, but we'll talk about it. But before we do that, folks, let's get into a little bit of housekeeping.
Folks, it's time for housekeeping.
All right, housekeeping. Today, you have got Brian, Adam, otherwise known as Unkie, and Matt. Doug is out. I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's trying on dresses or something. I don't know.
Can I just say the FOMO the last couple of weeks has been strong for me. I've missed you guys.
Rule number 7, everybody's invited, okay?
I know, but life happens. But I'm glad to be back. I've missed you guys.
Good to see you, Brian.
Thanks.
Good to see Brian. He's back. So you got the three of us today, and we're talking about how to be a fireman's. And but before that, we got some Patreon stuff to button up. No new subscribers. That's okay. But we do have a wheel of names today for a turnout drill. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to do the wheel of names. So the wheel of names that you see up there is, I think, everybody that we haven't done a turnout drill with, because I didn't put Ricky up there, and there's probably somebody else. I can't remember all this stuff. So if you're up there and you get selected and you don't want to do it again, which whatever, we have.
Why would you not want to do it again?
I know we have like 4,000 questions.
Come on, it's good times,
right? So you guys can see it, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, let's go ahead and spin the wheel of names.
Spin it, baby.
Wow. It's spinning. Hey, Daniel Watson. Daniel Watson. Can you guys hear the sound on that? I sure hope we can. Yeah. Okay. So Daniel, you are the big winner today, the big wiener. So I'll send you an email, and we'll get 3 questions from you, and you'll be part of our turnout drill next week during the Patreon time. Very good. What else? Next one that we're going to do next one, we're going to do wheel of names for the Patreon perks. So anybody that is a engineer subscriber on Patreon will be able to be in the running into the wheel of names for Patreon perks, which is just, a bunch of fire goodies. I got to go up and
now is the time to go get your membership.
Yes.
You had a week pass.
Yeah, you get a week.
Get it.
You get a week, and but next time that we record, which will be next week, that will you'll be logged in, and it's $2. And let me stop sharing this. I don't need to share this anymore. Bingo. So get into Patreon, and you get a chance to win a really cool box of goodies every month. Merchandise, folks. You've got the hat on. I've got the hat on. So those are both kinds of hats that we run.
And my Irish themed shirt.
And he's got the Irish themed shirt. Yep. The comfort colors is an interesting green. It's kind of like seafoam.
It's like mint.
Yeah,
Milk of magnesia green. But it's very nice. My wife likes it. Seafoam.
Really showing your age on that one.
Milk of magnesia?
Seriously?
Oh, my.
My grandpappy had a color 1952 Ford F-100 truck that was this color.
I read about it in the Regis Digest.
Oh, my God. And then we have blue as well. And then the okay. Sponsors, Unkie Seasoning. What's new at Unkie Seasoning is getting down to grind time for FDIC.
Barbecue.
That's right, man. We are getting pumped up, getting packed up for FDIC. Get all our items up there and shipped up. Ready to go. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to be in the Burn Box booth. Of course, the along with the podcast crew, and we shoveling out some samples. So come on by, get a little snacky snack, so you can walk on around.
Dude, whether you do any barbecue sauce or not, the amount of content that you got and the love that people showed, it was strong. I love seeing that.
Yeah. So we're still tossing that idea around and everything, but right now we're putting everything on pause, getting everything ready for FDIC. So we are waiting for some more packages to come in, and get it all squared away.
Perfect.
So yeah, we got that coming on.
We do know that we're going to see Steven Weber at FDIC. He's going to be there Friday and Saturday, so we'll definitely see him. So, Steven, come on by and get yourself some little snack with some Unkie seasoning on it.
Yeah. And a lot of our friends are going to be up there. Megan, she's going to be there. She's speaking again.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, as long as her baseball team lets her off.
That's weird. That's awesome. I love that. All right, cool. Very good. Let's do a short promo for Unkie seasoning.
From the firehouse to your house, Unkie's seasoning packs bold, firehouse tested flavor into every meal. Whether you're grilling, roasting, or just sprinkling it on your favorite snacks, our blends turn everyday eats into unforgettable bites. Pick your flavor, shake it on, and taste why it's firehouse approved. Go to unkieseasoning.com.
All right, very good. What do you got? We got FD Collectors Club, dude, and they seriously do not disappoint again.
No.
FD Collectors Clubs. If you're into the challenge coins, my goodness, are you missing out if you are not a part of the FD Collectors Club? Seriously, every time that I feel, because I want to do a challenge coin for our association, and I've told my president, hey, I'm going to do it. He's like, where the hell is it? Why are you not doing it? I'm like, a little busy, bro. A little busy.
Sorry.
And
running a podcast.
So every time I get a new coin from the FD Collectors Club, I'm like, they come up with some new design. It is crazy. Look at that.
Look at these things. Like, if you're not watching us on YouTube, where are you at? Because I'm showing them. I'm showing this month's coins. Yeah. They and I don't know if you can see this, but look at how it's raised, the thickness of these coins. Like, these are no little skinny, thin, cheap coins. These are impressive. Like,
thicker than a Snickers.
That is a tuna can thick.
But I mean, like, even the fact that you get, and I get it, we get the VIP, but you get, the 2 coins, you get the 2 patches, and then what's really cool is you get the story behind it. So check out these patches too.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll put these up there.
Seriously,
check those out. Yeah. I don't know. It's trying to autofocus here. Come on.
Lucky few.
And then that did a terrible job. But Castle on the Hill, Brooklyn. Check that out.
That's cool.
And then, of course, you get the story behind them. Yeah. Love that. Absolutely.
Go get you some. Yeah, so the Burn Box and FD Collectors Club, 2 different subscriptions, 2 totally different things, but obviously fire related. But your subscription with the Burn Box is going to be more like, knives and what else? Knives and radio pouches and shirts and stickers and all kinds of cool stuff.
I'm going to do a Doug and be really loud here just for a second.
Oh, good.
Good. That'd be great. But I want you just to see, that was the thing. I kept this here inside because I hadn't been here in a hot minute. But I just wanted people to see, number one, the color and the craftsmanship of that radio strap. So,
it's nice.
Again, super thick. The clasps, very good quality. That's what you're getting. Because I know you guys mentioned it last week. You were like, hey, you get about 120, 150 bucks worth of stuff. But like, these are good quality stuff that comes in the box every single month.
Right. Very cool. And so let's do a quick promo for the Burn Box.
Brought to you by the Burn Box, the #1 firefighter subscription box. The Burn Box celebrates firefighter products and firefighter-owned and operated businesses. Start today and receive a monthly box of firefighter apparel, gear, and tools. Check them out at theburnbox.com.
Awesome. That is the Burn Box. Last but not least, moment of silence for the end of our housekeeping. So Andrew wrote us, and he wanted to make sure that we saw that Michael Altman passed away. Chicago fireman, was on a high rise, not really a high rise, but multi-level, probably apartment complex, something like that. And I want to say, so it says here, I heard a LODD that took place on March 18th, was a Chicago firefighter that fell through the floor while searching for trapped victims. He endured second and third degree burns and later passed due to his injuries at the hospital. Just thought I'd share that. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you sharing that. It was all over social media. That guy's face was plastered, which is amazing. Had a great procession for him. It looked, I mean, just, the mayor talked, the fire commissioner talked. I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, that is true hero status right there. And Michael, we're going to, I know we have other ones, I think, today too, right? Did you find it, Brian?
Yeah, I did. Goldsby, Oklahoma, 2 firefighters, March 21st, 3 a.m. They rolled their tanker, and they were both killed as a part of rolling their tanker. Todd Pendleton, 62, and Brian Jenkins, 64. They both died as a result in that tanker rollover. They were responding, obviously, to an incident. And unfortunately, with part of the government shutdown, we still show it at 4, but this would bring obviously what we know up to 7. So there may be more. This is unfortunately the ebbs and flow of the fire service. So there could be more. And so if we don't know, we're sorry. We try to monitor as much of this, RSS feeds and email updates, but unfortunately during these shutdowns, we don't always get that information. So we try to monitor it. So please email us because we want to acknowledge it. thecoolfireman at gmail.com.
Beautiful. Or, on Spotify or YouTube, wherever you listen to the podcast, hit us up on a comment. That's what normally comes through is on Spotify on comments, which is great. So we're going to do a moment of silence for all those lads that we lost and any more that we missed. All right. Well said.
Amen. Well said.
All right. Topic of the day. So you want to be a fireman, do you? It's the greatest job in the world. What we do is absolutely the greatest job in the world. We talk a lot about the dangers. We talk a lot about the mental health awareness that we have to go through. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do as a first responder. Just because we're a first responder, I got to stab myself and do a TB test every year. I mean, there's special little things that you have to do if you want to be in the fire service. It's good and bad and the ugly. It's all great. But at the end of the day, it's the most amazing job in the world. And I'll say a little quote from last week's episode. You come to work inspired and you leave and you go home feeling fulfilled. And that, to me, is the greatest job in the world right there. There's not a lot of people that can say that they do that. Now, you don't have to be a fireman to be inspired and go home feeling fulfilled. That's 100% true. But this is the line of work we chose, and it has undoubtedly been quoted as being the best job in the world. And I truly believe that. You guys believe that?
I do. I got a question. You guys may have seen this. Last week, I was able to run into one of the mentors that I had in the fire service, and kind of just say thanks to him and to get a picture with him. I told my wife, it was on my wife and I's anniversary, and we had a function, and she's very blessed to attend some of those things with me. And so thanks, Natalie. But anyways, he was there, and I got a picture with him, and I tagged him in it, and it was so cool. And I guess that's what I wanted to say was, our podcast is called the Cool Fireman Podcast. And do you ever find yourself running into some of those people that kind of inspired you early on? And if so, what do you find yourself doing? Like, I still find myself kind of getting giddy. And I told my wife, I was like, see, Mr. Paul, like when I grow up, I want to be like him. And I'm saying that as a guy who is on the back end, right? I've been in it since 1998 and I'm 27, but I still get excited. Like, I smile when I see the man. I see him still serving, still representing the fire service. And I mean, he's got kids pretty much my age, and he's still representing us in a different way, right? He's not putting on turnout gear, he's not doing things. And so I guess that's my question. And I'm going to bring this back full circle to that why, but in short, what do you see, right? Because that's that igniting of yourself or reinvigorating yourself that I find that it helps, right? Because that was a moment that I needed. I needed to see Mr. Paul, to someone who really ignited me years ago. And when I see him today, it kind of relights me a little bit. How about y'all? Yeah. Do you see that person? And if so, what does it do to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just a true testament to, like, you know, we were talking about today, how to become a firefighter, or, you know, what it's like for in our experience. And there are those people that you latch onto and you might call a mentor, you know, some guy that you can call, have questions, bounce things off of. Hey, this is my resume. What does it look like? Blah, 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 blah. Right. Million things. And there's just that one person that you just connect with emotionally. Like, it's like you're on the same energy level, right? Like, you guys talk and you're like, man, this guy's going to help me. And then you get hired. That guy or girl is usually at your graduation, at your probationary badge pinning or whatever. Whenever you get promoted, that person just kind of lingers around, and it's almost like a family member. And they say that if you're in the same room as somebody as your family, like, blood you can't beat blood. All right. As much as we'd like to tell our wives that they're number one in that, they just aren't. It's science that when your brother or your sister, your mom or dad or aunt and uncle, cousins, whatever, are in the room, you have that connection. But it's like, just like when you said that, Brian, I was like, man, like, I know that my brother or my sister or my mom, dad, they have that connection with me, but it's pretty close to what you're saying. And I think that's true as well. You've seen that person, like, you started smiling. So I know that there was somebody that when I said that, like, for those people who are listening and not watching, like, you immediately started smiling. I looked at Adam. Adam had somebody that he started smiling about. There was somebody that, I don't know who it was, but that person immediately came to your mind. I don't know who it was, but there's somebody. Who is it, Adam? Who is it? Huh?
They've all retired and moved on.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you had Derek, right? Derek Fisher?
Yeah, retired. He moved on.
Sure.
They retired, yeah.
If Derek walked through the door right now, you would be like ecstatic. Your heart rate would go up. Your eyes, would dilate, like, the whole thing. You know what I mean? Just, ahuga, you know what I mean? But I think that's what it is, Brian.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you promote or whatever. You know, we talk about what it takes to be a fireman, right? Like, what does it take to be the engineer? What does it take to be the captain? What does it take to be the chief? These are the people that somehow or another gave you the swift kick in the rear that you needed, right? They're the ones who motivated you. They were the ones, to Adam's point, that was the one who got you in the ambulance. It was like, let's get out of here, right? And gave you what you needed. And these were the same people, like, that helped you through it. And, I think, again, coming back to the topic of what does it take to be a firefighter, it takes you finding somebody, an accountability partner early on in your career that's both a peer and a mentor that's going to get you to the next step. Because if not, we get comfortable and we get lazy in our positions because it feels right.
Sure.
Right. And I think that's kind of that, complacency. And we're like, oh, no, this feels good right where I'm at. And not saying that we shouldn't ever not get comfortable and not stay, but we should always be improving. Even if we decide not to promote, that's a personal opinion of mine, but there is an opportunity for us to be able to say, I need to be better than I am yesterday, even if I'm not promoting.
And you're saying that's a good thing, or that's what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying that has to be. That has to be, right? Yes. So when we come in as saying, hey, what does it take to be a firefighter? It takes that type of mentality. It takes us finding that somebody that's either a peer and a mentor, and they can be the same, right? But that's going to help us to that next level. That's to get us in the door and to keep us, to make sure that we get out the door, kind of to Adam's point, to get to retirement. Because if not, we've done several episodes lately about burnout and everything else. But I think that's one of those things that we definitely need about what it takes to get a firefighter. That's the step one. You got to have somebody there to help push you along.
Yeah. And at the same time, the other side of what you're talking about has to be inside you. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
You have to be that guy that understands that he or she will be learning every single day. You should be better tomorrow than you were today. And you should be better today than you were yesterday. Like, that's how I look at it. That's kind of the way that I say it. And I try to keep that in mind all the time, and it doesn't always happen. Like, it's not a day by day thing. It's more of like a metaphor or something just to kind of strive towards, is just being better. And that's just taking classes and just really just the notion that you don't know everything. The day that you think that you know everything is the day that you should think about retiring, and you should retire. Because it's dangerous. And we talk about this stuff in our podcast, right? And we try to educate people to the best of our abilities using our own opinions and experiences that's just what it takes. That's what it takes to do this job, is to be that guy that just understands that he doesn't know everything, and you just want to be better. And the way that you do that is like by what Brian just said, is latch on to a mentor and get that guy that makes you all feel all fuzzy but also at the same time shows you a little bit of accountability, and it's typically like somebody. I just saw a meme on social media somewhere. It was, be the leader that you want to be, like, be the leader that you want to be led by. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, like, if you don't feel like you're a leader at the firefighter level, but you look up to somebody, like, there's a reason why you look up to that other fireman. And we've always said it, and it holds true, is you can be a leader in every single rank. It might look a little bit different in my opinion. But I still think that you can lead at all ranks. But if there's that one person that you kind of look up to and you're like, man, this guy's doing a good job. Like why, and then right. Kind of emulate that. I mean, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah. I got two things. When you said that, I went back to a lock screen I had on my phone very early on in my career, which was given, which was shared on Facebook by a mentor, and it said, work hard and stay humble. Right. And that stayed on my lock screen for a long, long time. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, because we are chest beating, knuckle dragging firefighters by nature. And so we are cocky, in most instances, which was my second point, right? The humble part is the hard part, because we're in a profession that we have to be a little cocky and we have to be against the grain in those instances. But man, yesterday I got a really good dose of medicine at church where they talked about pride, and stripping away pride, right? Yes. And humility. Yes. And man, what an awesome thing. So what it takes to become a firefighter is, the dreaded question that is in almost every single interview: take fire service out of here. Bah, give me your greatest strength. Give me your greatest weakness. Oh, everybody hates that, right? But what an opportunity to work hard, right? There's your strength, and stay humble. The opportunity to give your weakness. Oh, give me the little balloons there. Is the stay humble piece. You get the opportunity to say, here's what I am working on. And that's the opportunity to show humility, right? Yeah. Because if not, you're so prideful, you're so boastful in those opportunities to where somebody's going back and going, I don't think I want this person in there. Mm-hmm. And so by our own nature, we say, in this interview, I've got to make it to where I sound good no matter what, in every single aspect. And sometimes what the interviewers really want is humility. Right. And so in that moment, it's okay to say, this is what I'm working on. I'm not going to say that it's a weakness in its entirety. You may say that that's a weakness, but here's what I'm saying is the opportunity for me and where I am working on it in its entirety. So for those that are listening and saying, what does it take to be a firefighter? For the person that's searching this and you are dreading that question, say, my greatest strength is I have great patient skills. When I was taking EMT, I had the ability to remember medications and do patient care. But what I really am working on the hardest right now is my ropes. I struggle with, getting those ropes taken care of. And I know that that's important, and I've recognized it. And I'm telling you, I'm going to commit to it just as hard as I did my medications. Whoa. What is that? What if you were sitting across the table from somebody like that? That's the answer from the person that I want. Now, what you've got to do is you got to make good on it, right? Because they're going to give you a chance. Yeah. The question is, what are you going to do with that chance? And I think that's yeah, right.
Absolutely.
And that shows that's the work hard part of that piece of it.
I mean, chime in, Adam. Don't let us just keep talking because we will. But what you're saying to me, like at the beginning of becoming a firefighter, is the oral interview. Okay, that's one of the beginnings, right? And we're talking to a lot of fire departments here, so a lot of people do things differently. We've actually stopped doing our own written test. We actually do through like some NTN process. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in it, and I didn't do it that way. But you basically take a standardized test, you get a score, and then when a department here in like the area, they say, "Hey, we're hiring," that you submit your score. And if it's good enough, then they obviously verify it, and then they bring you in for an oral interview. So the oral interview, Brian, is exactly what you just said. You get to talk the talk. And then guess what? You have an entire year, 365 days, that usually entails 3, if not 4 module tests, manipulative tests, showing that you can throw ladders, pull hose, do vertical ventilation, cut up a car, and do a rope rescue cliff drill. And amongst all that, there's, drills. If you're a paramedic, you're doing medications, all this kind of stuff. And that's when you get to walk the walk with us. And if you can't walk the walk, if you're in there and you sound great and you look great on paper and you can wear a suit and a tie and you look real nice and you button yourself up, but then you get on the floor and you can't pull hose, and it's not that you can't pull hose, but if you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and it really comes down to attitude. And so everything that we're talking about, Brian, you're talking about attitude. And if you got a good attitude, man, it's tough to get. I mean, it's just, again, it depends on where you're hired. Some departments are a little more strict, I guess, than others, and so it just is what it is. But if you have a good attitude, that goes a long way in the fire service.
Well, and I would go back and say,
meld with you. We want to, because part of this, not only just doing the job, it's hanging out with you. If I can't stand you, that is not, that's not going to work for a 24-hour shift.
No.
Yeah.
If your breathing bothers me, the way you look, it's going to be hard. So personalities, to be fair, we want somebody we can hang out with, that we can get along with, and we can tighten up pulling hoses and stuff like that.
To that point, Adam, I think you're spot on. I saw people over my career who have struggled academically to pass exams, right, because of the technical piece of this. But they had such a great attitude that their whole crew just wrapped their arms around them and helped them and committed extra time, where normally if you would have seen that was somebody else, they would have been left off, right? And they would have been left to fend for themselves. And that's hard to say, but for the person who's listening, understand that attitude and that perspective and that cockiness and that arrogance, is that a word? I don't know. I just made it up. So will get you nothing. It won't get you the support that you need. It won't get you the extra hours of training, right? It won't get you somebody out there who at 9:00 at night, instead of in the bed scrolling Instagram and TikTok, they're going to be out there in the bay floor teaching you about relief valves and the different evolutions of friction loss and things like that. So it speaks volume. Your attitude, Matt, I don't want to say you undersold it, but I think people need to understand just the value of that attitude and the determination, because again, people will invest in you, but you've got to put up or shut up. You can't solely rely on that attitude. You got to do your part. People have got to say, man, that captain has to say, look, Chief, I've seen Adam in there 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. He's in there. He's studying, right? Like, he's committed to this. My crew's in there working with them day in, day out. But it goes back to that mentor piece, right? So for the people that are listening, you also have to be the one to go back and say, Matt, you're not ready for this yet. right? You're not ready for that next step. Let's get this thing. You've got the practical application, but this test, it's going to be a little bit too tough for you. So let's do a couple more practice runs before you do it. That's leading with love, right? We've talked about that the last couple of times too. So that mentorship piece and this other stuff, that's what it takes to be a firefighter, right? Is also to lead with love and be able to look at somebody else and say, hey, this is your time or it's not your time. Man, this JPAT, you're going to struggle with it, man. You cannot get that dummy the 75 feet that you need to go. So you're going to need to put in some extra time. This may not be your time to do the physical agility. You're going to need to put in some more time on this. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Someone that's going to tell you the truth for sure.
It's a job that can kill you. You need somebody to tell you the truth. They don't need to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, I agree with what you got, Adam.
Trying to catch it between flights. And don't be the guy that comes in the door right off the bat, and let everybody know that you're smarter than everybody else. You don't need nobody else's help. Keep that to yourself, because all that's going to do for you, there's a pecking order, there's a time frame. All that's going to do is make your route to the exit very fast. Mm-hmm. If you come in with that attitude, it doesn't matter. You are the smartest person in the world. And that other thing. You come with that attitude, everybody's attitude towards you will be to make sure that you know your way to the exit.
Yeah. And
we've had that with people. And like we got one guy right now in our school, I've been told he's like that. And I was like, one officer's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and probably, we start next week, but I'm probably going to go ahead and squeeze him out. I was like, have a talk to him. Get the senior guy, talk to him. That's all you can do. Tell him just keep your mouth shut. Wait till your probation's off and everything like that. Then, you got to show it. Just don't come there all cocky. I know everything. This, that, other thing, because it's going to be the fast way out the door. Plain simple.
It's not going to work out too well. And
it won't end well.
That goes back to the pride thing and having and being prideful. You know what I mean? Like, and beating your chest and having to tell everybody. Now, there are some departments in this country that are probably like that and that you'll fit in. I'm here to tell you that there is a fire department for you. This just might not be the one. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get guys in to do an oral interview and you're like, sounds great. I just don't think I could live with the guy for 30 years. And so, and what we say is we'll take his resume and kind of hit it up against the thing and be like, he'll get hired as a fireman, just not here, and that's, I attribute where I landed. I could not be happier. And I've told a little bit of my story on this podcast about working for the county for a number of years and volunteering and doing my medic write-outs and blah, blah, blah. And they thought for sure I was going to be working for the county. I get hired with a small city and I love it more than I do. And I love the guys. I love the culture. I love that we work hard and we're a very laissez-faire, lead with love, but our expectations are very high. Those tones go off and you don't know what to do. It's kind of a, hey, shame on you, man. And that's how we take it. We all take it hard and we take accountability for ourselves. And so that's the department that I work for. Now, there might be some of those out there that beat their chests and they talk down to people and they think that they're the best. I mean, we just got a social media comment from somebody, and of course it's a no name with no pictures or anything else, and he was boastful and prideful about being a class 1 fire department. And so, it was my fire department posted a video, those meta glasses with the cameras. And so one of our engineers bought one, and dude, they're so cool. A very POV, like, opportunity to watch an engineer drive through the city. And so they got a vehicle
POV.
fire. Yeah, it's really cool. Point of view, right? And so he gets out of the rig, he helps pull the line. And of course, like, he did everything great. And Nick is a great engineer. And this guy says something about they had their helmets on the dash. And, he was the helmet police that day, saying, stop doing, he goes, I know you only run one call a shift, but you need to take your helmets off of the dash because it impedes your view. And I'm like, I was like, wow. And then he said something about being I made a comment, and then he said, oh, I'm a class 1 fire department. I'm like, oh my goodness, dude. So there are those departments out there. They can beat their chests all day together. And it is what it is. There's a place for you somewhere, just not here. You know what I mean?
Just go ask. Well, never mind.
No,
I would keep that opinion to myself.
It's all good. But the brass tacks of it, it's your attitude, like Brian said, and that is a huge. I mean, we could all share stories. We're not going to sit here and have story time, but we all have stories of when we were trying to get hired, and I tried to become a volunteer. It took me a year showing up. They just didn't have space in the type of volunteer department or like the program that we had. Okay. It's a long story as to how it was set up, but I showed up every Thursday night an hour early and was last to leave, and the guys that respected me, they said, hey, Matt, we would totally hire you, but we got no space. But there should be something coming available here in the next whatever. Right. And so I just kept showing up, and I got my EMT license, started working on an ambulance. And that was part of how I do it. And I went to the fire academy, and then I became a mentor at the fire academy. I'd show up in Inglewood, which is about an hour and a half drive for me, once a week, and just helped out there at the same time, putting myself through classes to go to medic school. And that's just what it takes where I'm from. And everybody has been through a fire academy. Hey, you show up in your interview. What have you done? What kind of training, education experience, makes you the best candidate for this fire department? And it's like, well, I've been through a fire academy. Okay. So has everybody else. What's something special that you've done? Have you done station visits? Do you have a mentor? Have you done, mock interviews before and learn about this fire department, not just what it says on the website, look past that. That's a little nugget there for you. Right? Everybody knows about what Brian's fire department does from Leland.org or whatever it is, right? Go knock on the door if you want to be a firefighter there and be like, hey, what kind of special events do you have? What's your deployment model? Are you guys looking at getting any new stations, new apparatus? What does that look like? All these answers that you're going to get are going to be gold, because all these other candidates that want to beat you out supposedly aren't going to have any of that information. They're going to have, Leland covers 23,000 residents, and they do this one event down at the town hall. You know what I mean? Like everything that it says on the website. And so do your due diligence and learn about where you want to work. And then, and that will prove, do you well, in my opinion.
And it's really good to do that, to see if you want to work there.
True.
Not only get in good graces with them, we, at our height of our overtime, we have had people come in. We found out they were going to start on Monday, and here they are the Wednesday before. They come in, they check out the station. We tell them everything was going on. We're cool with them. We want them to show up on Monday to come to work. Then they ask about overtime, and they resigned that night. Yeah, it's happened. We have got a guy quit his job before he started. It's a little, so, but he went in there. He's like, oh, I don't do overtime. We're like, that's cool. You do now. He's like, but it's, how much they work you, or so they told me I don't have to work overtime if I don't want to. We're like, oh, they lied to you, because they're also the ones going to write you up if you don't show up. It's the one that promised you no overtime. You find out, you find out the negative stuff, kind of, to really get the honest truth. If you got actually question of how that department operates. So if you love overtime, don't love overtime, they'll explain it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very much it's not just them interviewing you, you're also interviewing them. I mean, if it comes down to it, and it's not always the case, some guys, like, especially like where I work, these guys are just struggling to get hired anywhere because they're going up against, this has been a really good time to get hired as a fireman where I work. Because
it used to be like 5 years between hiring, and I live in a metro with 7 big cities, and it'd be a 5-year gap between anybody hiring.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was kind of like that. I mean, shoot, for Los Angeles, I think there was 8,000 people that showed up for the test. and they were going to put through a couple fire academies of 40 to 50 every year, and so it's just crazy. The amount of people that you're competing against. So
if you say that number again, 8,000 people, like that just rolled off your tongue like as if it was nothing. But 8,000 people.
They would hold tests in convention centers, in stadiums. It was crazy. It was insane. Unbelievable. But
those numbers have dwindled because everybody's having a hard time getting firefighters these days. Yeah. My local city was doing 2,000 interviews for 40 spots. And stuff like that.
I need to get more in tuned in the area that I work. I just don't really have the need to know. I know that we cap. So for my fire department, we cap it at 300. I think when we announce the firefighter position, we say the first 300 qualified candidates. So that would be so maybe we'll get 500 applications. And then, there's always a percentage that don't fill out the application correctly. Yep. I'm telling you, read the directions. If it says use black ink, use black ink. This is part of the test is turning in the application, and it says
follow instructions.
Right. We need your driver's license and a copy of your EMT license and your firefighter one. Right. And people will send all their fire control, their auto extrication, rope rescue. It's like, that was not the directions. So we'll get 500. I'm just making up a number. That's fairly close. We get a lot of applications. And we'll cap it at 300. And then, we'll typically hire maybe 2 or 3 off that list. I think from the test from 300, we take them to a biddle, and we'll probably do 100, not contestants, candidates from the biddle, which is our physical ability test. And then we'll dwindle it down to maybe 20 or 30 that we actually, we'll interview. And go, just think of those numbers. I mean, how do those numbers equate to you, Brian, or any of the departments that are around you?
That's a hard question, because I think like we talked about before, I think it's all relative. It's relative to the position. It's relative to the time of year. I mean, we don't have a one time a year. Historically, most departments, well, let me take that back. There are different departments who hire differently. There are departments that will make a list. There are departments that will hire as they need them. So that's a very loaded question. I think what you should do for folks in Eastern North Carolina let me pause and say this. If you're looking for a job where all you're going to do is run a lot of fire, that is a 1 in a million chance, right? You're like, I'm going to go to this big city. There's a chance that you're not going to be on that busy company, right? Like, you look at FDNY, you could go to Long Island. Like, you could go to one of the slow stations, right? The likelihood of you getting pulled and put at one of the busy stations is a needle in a haystack, right? Like, the likelihood of you going to the city of Raleigh and getting on one of the busiest engine companies, not very likely. The likelihood of you being a rookie and cleaning toilets, 100%, no matter which fire department you're on. So you better accept the acceptables and accept the unacceptables. Right? And the unacceptables is that you're not going to go on a fire department and run a lot of jobs. Okay. And if they are, they're not the jobs that you're thinking that they are, right? They're ODs, they're lift assists, they're medical calls, right? They're an occasional pin in and they're an occasional fire. But you know what the reality of it is when you do get that occasional call, you still get that adrenaline pump. You still get that fire inside of you that says, yes, this is why I did this. I get the opportunity to help somebody, right? But I'll tell you, one of the best experiences I ever got was on a medical call, was the sense of helping somebody. The first time I ever gave oxygen to somebody, and I'm saying this as an EMT basic, was I gave oxygen to somebody and I watched their O2 saturation come up, their color come back, and I said, I did that. And that was equally just as rewarding as it was going to that structure fire. Because it was all perspective, right? And I think that's what you have to do is you have to get to a point in this career where you look at perspective. That was a really long way of saying it. It doesn't matter whether you're on a department that's 8,000 or a department that's 20, right? Yeah. And you come on as just one guy or one lady. The reality of it is you're blessed to be there, right? And like you said, the way you started all this out is it's the best job in the world, right? It really is. It's truly the best job in the world.
I did that on purpose, Brian. And that was off the cuff. I didn't think about that. I got all this other stuff on the rundown and I didn't have, this is the best job in the world. That's what came to my mind when we hit record and I said, we're going to talk about how to be a fireman. Why is that? Because this is the best job in the world, you know? And so, just thinking about it, I do have a call to action for everybody. How many people are you going up against in these tests? So for all of our non-firefighters, the ones that are wannabes right now, and they're going through and they're getting their EMTs, they're getting their fire academies, whatever it may be. How many people are you going against? I'm curious. I've heard this. We've heard this on National Fire Radio. We've heard this. Frank Viscuso has talked about this. I think is it a retention problem or is it a hiring problem? Right. And a lot of people fight about this. I think it's both, really, to be honest with you. But how many people are we going against? I don't know. This day and age, like when I was trying to get hired, there was a lot of people wanting to be a firefighter and there was not a lot of spaces. I mean, it was crazy the amount of people county was probably putting on 2 academies a year and each academy is maybe 40 guys. So that's 80 in a year. And they regularly had 3,500 to 4,000 applicants. And they literally put on their test at University of California, Irvine in multiple classrooms, report to science room 1A. And there was somebody in 1B, another 100 in 2B. We were in like a conference in this bowl. It was like one of the rooms at the college, and you just had this little tiny desk that you had to put your answer sheet and your booklet, and you're just in there like sardines. It's like 90 degrees, but that's it. That's what you have to do. That's what you want to have to do to get this job. So I'm just curious, what is it like these days? On the West Coast, it's still a grind. I'll tell you, we have some really good ambulance operators that work for us, and it's a stepping stone for us as being an EMT on an ambulance.
I still struggle when you say ambulance operator. I still feel like every time you say that, it's like 1970.
Oh, well, that's what we call them.
I know, but it's
whatever.
Yeah, it's still just like.
But they can't get hired. You know, we ask them all the time. Hey, who are you applying for? Hey, what are you doing now? What class are you taking? You know, and we'll do mock interviews every shift. I mean, we're trying to prepare these guys for a tough and rigorous, applicant period. Let's just say, from the application to the test to the biddle to the interviews to just the regular captain interviews. Then going to the chief interviews is different. You know what I mean? If you make it through a captain's interview, that's more technical stuff. And then the chief interview is more like, hey, I want to get to know you. You know, are you going to be a problem for me? You know what I mean? And so we get them through that. You know, it's a grind, man. It is a serious grind. We always tell the guys, it's a full-time job trying to get a full-time job. And there is no room for pissing and moaning and complaining. You just get up in the morning and you try to be better than you were yesterday. And you have that attitude and you put a smile on your face and you just know you're in the trenches. You know what I mean? I just remember sitting in the ambulance, working for a private ambulance company in the middle at 2:00 in the morning, posting. And, another unit was out. So we had to drive to the middle of the 2 different areas. So if a call went out, we were closer and just laughing, going, I look at my partner and that's the best thing in the world, man. You can run 400 calls in a shift, work 120 hours in a row. As long as you got a good partner sitting next to you and you can just laugh it off and just like, fuck this. But you know what? We're doing it together. You know what I mean? Sorry, Rhett. That's the best thing in the world. But I just remember laughing, going, I'm going to be sitting in the back of a fire engine one day and I'm going to be laughing just as hard. And that happened. I've got the goosebumps. I'm sitting in the back of a fire engine in Laguna and I'm full time sitting in that right back seat and I'm just start laughing. Here we are, baby. I made it. All that hard work. Now I got to grind for a year. I did it, Ricky.
I was going to say, what do you say? I did it, Ricky.
And that's just what it takes. It's not easy, man. It's not easy, but it is worth it because it is the best job in the world. You know, even though
what was that moment?
Drinking problem and a divorce.
What was that moment for you? Smoking cigarettes and drinking brown liquor,
and Zens and.
I'm feeling attacked, guys. I'm feeling attacked.
Dude,
what was that moment
I'm
when
feeling
you
attacked?
What was that moment when you felt like in your training before you got hired that, like, I don't know, it was the moment that you went over the edge, I guess, of like, I'm gonna do this. Was that your moment, Matt? And I'll give you mine just for context. So I was doing my agility hiring for the city, and I'll never forget, it was a Saturday morning and we had to do the training. I had this terrible head cold. I kind of sounded like Doug sounded last week. Couldn't really hardly breathe. I had been sick, and we had to do like a modified JPAT because we couldn't do that because of the cost, right? So it was this modified version, and I had to run a half a mile. So I'm sitting there with this head cold, and I can barely run. And I'll never forget, I was on the last lap, and I looked down at the end of this road, and there's the fire chief in his white shirt, and he bends over and he puts his hands on his knees, and he bends over and he watches me come down the straightaway. Right? Like, can you imagine that? Like, he kind of bends over and watches. And I go, oh God, I have to finish this. And like, I've got, cause it's timed, right? So like, you're just like, I've got to suck this up. And it was that moment where I had to kind of like push myself over the edge. Cause I can remember my lung being about right at my lip. And I just wanted to like throw it out because I was like, I felt so bad. Yeah. And I remember I was like, no, I have worked too hard to get to this point to just quit. Right? So what was yours in the back of the ambulance? Adam, what was yours? Like when you were like,
but you do run funny.
I do run funny. Funny. My legs kind of kick out, you know, it is kind of
one arm goes like this.
We're going to have a race at FDIC. Oh, you're not going to be there.
I won't be there.
Boo. Mine was in the same, when I said that I had 3 or 4 different jobs before I got hired, that was it. I was a mentor. I was working 24-hour shifts on the ambulance. I was taking classes for college, and I just started, I'm literally getting off of a beat up night on the ambulance because we got beat up every night on the ambulance. Yeah, no sleep, up at 6 a.m., have to be in Inglewood by 8:30. So I got to haul ass. I'm probably chugging a coffee in one hand and a Rockstar in the next. And I'm just hauling ass to Inglewood, listening to Howard Stern on Sirius XM. I remember I bought Sirius XM because I had a long drive to the fire academy, and just laughing, just like, this is crazy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I loved it. I was not married. I had no kids. I had Kels, but she was head down in the books. She was finishing her degree and going to her graduate school in Chicago, and she had her head down. So I was just like, whatever, let's go, working as much overtime to make scrap some money together to pay bills, which wasn't that much. I was renting a room. I lived in a literal closet during paramedic school. So I put myself through fire academy, went back to work, gained some money, took all my classes to finish my associate's degree in college. So when I finished paramedic school, I would be done with my A, and I would be able to tell the fire chief in some department, which ended up being Laguna, saying, hey, I finished my associate's degree. That's awesome, Matt. Do you want to get your bachelor's? Yes, sir. Someday, I will. And sure enough, I did. But I didn't have enough money. And so I moved out of my bedroom that I was living in, and I moved back with my dad, but which was like 40 miles away, trying to go to medic school. It was terrible. So I went crawling back to this guy's house and said, do you have that room? Somehow I got to live in it. And he's like, I already rented it, but I got a bed in the closet. Do you want to sleep there? And I'm like, yep. So I paid him $100 a month, and I lived in the closet under the staircase. I was like Harry Potter. I was like Harry Potter for almost a year. I just lived in there.
But it was cheaper, right?
But it was cheaper, and he was a medic. He was a medic fireman, so I could bounce questions off of him. I could do ride-alongs on my days off. So I did ride-alongs on his medic van and just ran calls and did assessments. It was awesome. but that's
it's funny. It's funny you say that because like your option B. So my dad had told me, he's like, hey, look, if you don't get this job, I'm thinking about opening. So my dad sold cars for, I don't know, forever and a day. And he was living up in Charlotte. And he was like, if you don't get this job, like we can open up a used car lot. And I can remember running and going, I will not sell used cars to myself. Like that was the thing. Like, and I looked down and there's the chief with his hands on his knees. And like you said, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. 100%. Like I'm not knocking any of that. Right. But it was in that moment to where I made a decision that said, this is me. This is what I'm doing for me. And there's so many different people. I think some of the biggest blessings, some of the biggest lumps in the throat that I've gotten in mail call, which I know we need to get to that, but it's
snail mail. You always call it mail call.
Whatever. Snail mail, mail call, whatever. It's something mail. Is when we get the emails, and we don't always share all of them, but we get the opportunity to hear people who benefit from these conversations, these right here, where people are like, hey, I got an interview. Hey, I'm starting this training, or hey, I finished this evolution, right? Like it is the thing, like you said, it's like goosebumps. I got them right now. Like it's one of those things where it's like, yes, this is why we do it. And that was kind of the thing for me. It's like I knew the path that I was called to be on, and it was that test of saying, I'm going to get over this hump. I'm going to make that. So for me, for those who have been in here for a while, that's my call to action. Put in the comments, what was your defining moment that you knew that this was the path that you were supposed to be on, that you committed to doing what it took to become a firefighter? What does it look like?
I love that. Very good. Unc, anything to add?
No? It's mail call time.
For me, when I knew it, when it was after high school. A buddy of mine, apparently I promised him that I would join the volunteer. So after I got fired from the suicide hotline, I was like, all right, I'll join with you. So I joined in. Within 2 weeks, I fell in love with it. Never wanted to be a firefighter. Never really cared about it. Grew up around it. My father, my uncle, career firefighters. But I said 2 weeks into volunteer academy, I was like, this is awesome. You don't have to grow up. You get to play with water. You get to break other people's stuff. And they're happy about that. I'm like, sign me up.
Right.
So that's how it was.
Oh, I love it.
Snail mail.
Mail call.
So I hope that we did it a little bit of justice. There's a lot to it. This is a multi-variable, multifaceted topic. It really is. You could talk specifically about how to get hired onto a volunteer fire department or a fire station, or a big fire department like Doug's, big city Doug, or a little one like mine, 4 stations. You know what I mean? Like, or like yours, Brian. I mean, we could talk just about an individual department. There's so much, but when it comes down to it, I think we use the word attitude enough, which was a good goal for us, because you're right, Brian. Like that should not be understated. That should not be undersold. Have a good attitude. Have a good attitude. Kick ass, take names, learn, and you'll be just fine. All right, snail mail.
It's snail mail time.
Snail mail. Spotify, I got to say, Steven said I should be seeing you guys there. So first time attending FDIC, we'll be there Friday and Saturday. Steven, if we don't see you, that is an ultimate tragedy. So
low blow.
Yeah, we'll see you there for sure. So we got a lot of social media stuff, messages and comments regarding what we talked about with Social Security, and then Doug and I did last week. Sorry, I'm trying to think and speak at the same time.
FDIC.
Yeah,
the benefits.
So we did like a conference chat, what to expect at FDIC next coming up, and so we did a podcast last week on that. And but this guy Bryce was talking about Social Security. He said federal firefighter contribute to Social Security. Unkie may be able to elaborate, but it's kind of factored into our pension. we have what many of us know as Social Security supplement because of being forced out early. Does that make sense, Adam?
Yeah. We do pay into Social Security. Started like in the 90s. My father, he's from a different version of the retirement system for the federal service, and so they changed it. It was it was like an extra benefit. If you don't pay into Social Security, it was an extra benefit because you get more money in your pocket on paychecks. But anyways, they changed it. So ours is, we get a Social Security supplement. We can retire after we complete 25 years. We can retire at any age. Mine is 47 years old. Social Security doesn't kick in until way back, back in those numbers, and they keep moving up. So at 47, I get my Social Security, and it's just another pot of money it pulls out of. So gotcha. I can get that supplement there. But
all right.
Explain it.
Very good. Yeah. Grim Hooligan says you can collect both Social Security and a pension. Quit talking about what you don't know. You only get to draw based on what you put it into both. So apparently he knows everything. We can't talk about things. Yeah, I mean this is awesome that he knows everything. I really love that. I was talking about prideful. As Scott says, we don't pay into it at Wilmington, North Carolina. So of course everybody's different. Like we don't pay into it, and we talked about that.
Yeah, that shocked me that the department still don't pay into it. So I'm learning.
On the podcast last week, Not Gonna Lie is the guy's name from TikTok, says most places can't get staffed apparatus. We're not getting conference paid for. Not anymore. Damn. That's rough. So, man, maybe next podcast we talk about this. I don't know, boys. I'd like to have somebody on that knows the volley service. And you guys might know it well enough to speak on that kind of stuff. But and this is going to sound super ignorant. All right. And I don't mean for it to. This is a legitimate question. In my opinion, and so it's different on the West Coast, but in this country, if a city or a town or a county is being built, the first thing that they should think about is public safety. Okay. Just with that notion, why in 2026 do we still have volunteer firefighters? Why can't Travis be getting paid where he works in Ohio? If your answer is because, it's only a town of 300, right? Okay. Well, doesn't a town of the 300, don't they still bring in tax money to where they could pay to have like one engine? Not enough for what? For like a full shift of like 3, they'd be working too much. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm really not trying to be ignorant. I just don't live in that world. So I'm just interested.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guarantee you if you went to some of the rural parts of California versus the dense parts of California, you would find it, or that they have levied their taxes in a different way to supplement that. So that's what I was getting right to say is you may find that things like CAL FIRE cover the wildland.
And that was that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say that. I go, well, why doesn't the state of Ohio have Ohio's fire department, right? That all those small cities and towns and villas and burgs that can't afford because they're too small or whatever the reason may be, why can't they get state funded
because of the cost.
Fire services?
It's because of the cost. It's because of the cost.
But an entire state, so like Cal Fire can supplement small cities and towns.
Have you ever got a little benefit statement from your city that tells you like how much you cost them?
Yeah.
So I mean, just look at that. I remember when I had when I worked for the city, a $24,000 full time, $24,000 job. I cost the city over $100,000. That's a lot of money. I got paid those pennies. 24,000 was definitely not enough to pay a firefighter. Then you just raise it up, and you're talking about $250,000 to $300,000 at one firefighter costs a year.
Right.
Then you turn around. Now the trucks are unfortunately just outrageous.
Right.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. Is I think when you look at this, it goes back to the members in that community are willing to absorb and take that risk. That's the other thing is, most citizens don't know what they don't know. But number two is the other part of that is that they're okay with that risk. When I'm going to give an example. We've legislated or tried to legislate or advocate for certain fire safety items. And the insurance industry has said, we'll write the policy if people are willing to pay the premium, right? Gotcha. And furthermore, they've also said is if the individuals are willing to assume that risk and pay the premium, then what role is it in government to legislate more than that? So if it's no risk to other people, insurance is willing to pay on it, why would we mandate more than? That is government overreach. So again, if there's people in the community willing to provide the protection for free, and the citizens are willing to pay the insurance premium, and they're willing to roll the dice of the risk. I'm not saying I'm agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying that that's kind of the point. Why would the state legislature go in and levy more taxes when the citizens are okay with the service that they have? So to that point, if they demanded more, then they would advocate more, but they haven't. And so to that point, what our next step should be, and I'm selfless plug here. On our last podcast, we just talked about on the Carolina Fire Watch, we talked about the fire service lobbying together and advocating more. If the three of us were districts side by side, right? And we can come together on a fire call real quick and put out that fire, right? Because we all run auto aid together. Yet we can't come together to save cost and say, let's all buy the same turnout gear. Let's all buy the same air packs. Let's all buy whatever. Yeah. Because we have our own internal flaws. We will never, if we three can't agree on those things, we'll never agree to a statewide fire protection or even a countywide fire protection without someone stepping in on our behalf. And I think that that's really the difference with it. And again, and I don't remember what show it was on. I think it was the one with K. Bill. It was to that point is it goes back to the cost. You're also asking people to pay for stuff that they can't afford basic necessities. That's little old lady. You're asking her to pay for fire protection and she can't afford her medication, let alone her groceries. And so all through the process of taxes. So I go back and say, is risk, frequency, probability, and cost. Sure. Some communities are willing to help their neighbor and make sure that they have the money to pay for food. And if that's the case, more power to them. That's kind of my stance on it. But to that same point is those same people who are willing to provide it for free need to understand that they should provide it professionally and to a higher level than what they're doing today.
Absolutely. And we talked about that with K-Bill. Love it. And we all agree. I mean, I don't think that there'd be anybody out there that wouldn't agree to that. But when I hear that, when we have, like I said on the last, I don't know if you guys listened to the podcast that dropped today, Monday, which was the 23rd. And Doug and I were talking about how we've gotten messages saying, or comments on Spotify. I could probably find one right now that says, hey, we have 12 people that are, basically that they can show up and only a few do. So it's like, so the whole willing, you are so right. Burnout, in my opinion. So they attribute it to burnout, but I have had to step back and take time to myself. We read this way before. He's doing it between two departments. Anyways, I don't want to belabor this, but I'm hearing
I go back and say too,
that word willing is not so willing anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Sure. That's why we're discussing it. And please, if you're listening to this and you disagree with what I'm saying, which, it was just fine. I'm just creating discussion, then please let us know.
When you mentioned on this week's podcast, and for those who did not listen to last week's that are listening to this one, is go back and listen to it. What I would also say is there are several states, several associations, several groups that offer sponsorships and scholarships. You talked about raising money to give scholarships to go to these conferences. Yeah. There are several ones that offer scholarships that are completely underutilized. People don't apply. So again, you do your due diligence. just as much as you watch the new techniques of, big bad, Jimmy Jolly bad, whatever, forcing a door, go search for the opportunities to find ways to send you to that same conference and go do it in person, not just scrolling it on Instagram. Because there's something to be said about tactically putting your hands on and learning it in person and getting all the other benefits that y'all talked about last week too. There's so much benefit to that, and they will pay for it for free. National Volunteer Fire Council puts on classes for free. All of those things are for free, and they're in your region. So again, I'm going to, say, and his name just left me, the guy from North Carolina, the one who passed, his name, I had it right here on the tip of my tongue. Help me out, Adam, our buddy who passed on the cruise. Oh gosh. Jim Lines.
Mute, Adam.
No, Jay Lines.
There he is, Jay.
Jay Lines. I just had to see you mouth the word. Jay Lines. In his defense, he advocated constantly on this show about stepping in and filling the gap. So when someone else wouldn't do it, he did it.
Yeah. I love that. Heck yeah. Very good. Hey, we went kind of over. I wanted to bring that up. It's going to be a discussion here on the Cool Fireman podcast. I think it's an important one. I'd even love to have Travis on and talk to him. He's the dad of little firefighter Quinn, Little Station 5. Pump them again because we're going to see them at FDIC. Maybe we'll talk about them, but it's all good stuff. We're just trying to continue a good conversation, and I'd like to say that, we're trying to make this place better today than it was yesterday and better tomorrow than it was today by having these discussions. And maybe we are, maybe we aren't. But that's all I got for now, boys. Anything to add? Add, subtract?
Kate, I'm not going to be at FDIC.
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry. So we're going to miss Brian. But he'll be on FaceTime at 2:00 in the morning. We'll make sure he's involved and included.
They'll be singing to me like you did it safer.
Yep, exactly. All right. Very good, folks. With that being said, go out, work hard, be safe. Best job in the world. Who wants to roll us out?
Roll it, Gigi.
Roll it, Gigi.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out thecoolfireman.com for more. Thanks!